Hello and welcome to the Cinema Gold podcast. I'm your host, Larry Lees. Today we're diving into Superman Lois, episode 4, Haywire. First, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Pondex. Use promo code CinemaGolf. Visit pondex.com. And Paramount Plus. Check out Paramount Plus and get the first month free. The links will be in the description. One of the most tired arguments in comics is whether or not Superman is too powerful to tell good stories with. The plethora of exceptional, meaningful, moving Superman stories out there should put that argument to bed for good. But if they haven't, feel free to direct anyone making it to Haywire, the 4th episode of what's become one of the best Superman arcs ever. The key Superman conflict has nothing to do with his power level and everything to do with the fact that he can't be everywhere at once. He's a man who wants to help everyone, but has to prioritize where he can be and how much time he can stay there. And those choices all have consequences. That's basically the thesis of this episode. Clark is being pulled in 1,000 different directions at once, with his father-in-law climbing on his back about not being seen enough in Metropolis. An intergang prison transfer going down, Morgan Edge about to close a deal on a mine outside of Smallville, and Lois trying to run headfirst into Edge, and the boys trying to navigate school, and also one of their classmates developing super speed. The thing that makes this episode and the show as a whole such a good Superman story isn't necessarily the content of the story, it's the storytelling. Superman and Lois excels at showing and telling. It weaves 3 storylines, Clark, Lois, and the kids in and out, contrasting points against each other by bouncing from scene to scene to heighten the point. There are 2 spots this week where this is really well done. The first, midway through the episode, Lois's big Morgan Edge expose in the Gazette has been spiked by a lawsuit threat. Turns out Lois had a non-compete. Who'd have thunk? So she pushed it off on Clark, who is well-known mediocrity, had no such legal conflict, and was planning to bring up the issue in a big town meeting, where Smallville was voting on granting Edge's intercorp mining rights to the party spot from the first episode. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense was moving a super prisoner out of town because Superman's lack of presence in town was making the authorities skittish about keeping him in town. And at the same time, Sam Lane was giving the kids a hard time about being too needy now that they know their dad was Superman, because the rest of the world needed him more. Of course, nothing works. Nothing works out right. Superman takes way too long on a wild goose chase, so Edge wins the town vote nearly unanimously. While the stuff with Jordan and John takes some time to blow up, the performances really carry this sequence over. Clark agonizes over missing the vote and practically begs Lois to be mad at him, and their argument is so natural and honest feeling that it's immediately relatable. Later, when the family finds out what Sam said to the kids, there's an argument in the farmhouse that is almost immediately recognizable and yet perfectly performed. Clark is pissed at Sam, but Superman's anger is so often played as some world-ending threat with glowing red eyes and menacing body language. Yet here, Hoechlin plays it completely straight as an angry dad dealing with a shitty in-law. I'm sure we're going to keep talking about this as the show goes along, but the amount of acting these two do with allowing their body language and the way it conveys exactly who Superman and Lois are, both alone and in relation to each other, is a huge part of the mastery of this show. The only problem I have with this episode is how it's all a path to Sam's radicalization into creating Project 7734. This is pretty BS for a couple of reasons. First, there's no way the shady-ass government doesn't already have a similar contingency plan for dealing with a rogue Superman. And second, I know the episode is all about what a terrible parent he is, but I can't really wrap my head around it because he's spending too much time with your grandkids. Maybe that's what makes Sam a villain, but it's also what makes this Superman the best he's been so far. Already a great show. So that's our review for this week's Superman and Lois. If you'd like to support us, join our Patreon at patreon.com/cinemagold. Follow us on Twitter at cinemagold2. And let us know what you thought about this week's episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.